So the exhibit basically starts from, the first painting is from me before I met him, and the ideas and thoughts that I had about myself, where I thought I knew myself and things I would do, wouldn't do. You know, you have self-awareness where you're, the things you're like, oh, I would never, or I would never this, or I would never that, until you are placed in certain situations. And those nevers quickly become maybes. And then a lot of times they become, this is something I have to do, whether I want to or not. So the paintings go through that journey of before the relationship, during the relationship, and then on the other side of the relationship. Basically from when we first met, and then the transformation that he made during that time period as the schizophrenia became worse. And he had been diagnosed, but I didn't know it. His family knew it, but I didn't know it. And the difficulty with that is that one thing when you're in a situation like that and you don't know where to go or who to consult with is, you feel very isolated and alone. So during that time, I wrote a lot. I wrote journals. I picked resources that were just songs, or somebody could say something on the TV, or I pulled from my environment anything I could to help me throughout that time. Anything that could, I felt could lift me up and keep me moving through. Because, when you grow in love with someone, you don't want to give up on them. So that was a deep struggle. And that's where the painting, where it's like for me, fighting, that was based on the inner turmoil that you have with yourself of trying to help a person, trying to stick with them, but yet needing to protect yourself. And sometimes that means getting out of a relationship and leaving that person behind. So the story goes on to what I used as resources to help myself. I had a dream, and the young me, the child me, was guiding the adult me. And she had keys and was taking me through doors and was showing me the possibilities of who I could be, what I was to become, just different avenues that could possibly take my journey. But the thing was, I needed to get out of that relationship for those things to happen. So I looked within and try to pull from that inner strength, and that took me to the time of the piece called Cocoon. And then the exhibit goes on to coming on the other side of that and stepping into your own and being the person that you're supposed to be. And unfortunately, I did have to end that relationship and move on. But for my own mental health, that was the way that I had to resolve that. The thing within the Black community is that it's met with shame and embarrassment. So mostly Blacks aren't going to go to psychiatrists or psychologists for help, whereas our white counterparts will. And educated white people will go and get help, whereas educated Black people won't, for the stigma. And so, it's left with our families, our churches, and our communities trying to pick up the pieces and help your loved ones or yourself get through that time, which, most of the times we're not cope, we're not able to deal with that. So, I wanted the exhibit to open that awareness, make it where it's not so stigmatized. You know, we all know somebody like, oh, such and such is crazy, just leave him alone, let him do, you know, her do what they're doing. And the thing is really, you know, they really do need some help. They really do have a mental illness. And, you know, so many varying ranges that we let go. But, you know, when you look at the prisons, a great majority of those people have some type of mental illness. The homeless, the great majority of those people have mental illness. Within the juvenile system, the numbers were somewhere around 70% of the children that come through there have some type of mental illness. So, you know, this is something that's really affecting our society greatly as a whole. And my hopes are that the conversation will open, people will start researching and looking for avenues to get help. And so that's basically, in a nutshell, well, no pun intended.